From the banks of the Mississippi to the peaks of the Smokies, this is the home field of champions.
Andre Holloway to Stanley Morgan.
And no, holds it down. Nobody can catch him. Reggie White penetrated.
Touchdown, Pete Shula. James Stewart.
Manning on the naked handoff.
Peerless fight.
Travis Henry scores for Tennessee.
More than 75 years of broadcast excellence. We are the Vol Network. What happened this weekend? What lies ahead? Analysis and insight from the inside. This is Big Orange. Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's is the perfect place to rewind after every Tennessee game.
This is Big Orange Rewind. With the voice of the Vols, Mike Keith, and VolQuest.com's Brent Hubbs.
After Tennessee's season opening win in Atlanta, Georgia, knocking off Syracuse University by a final score of 45-26. Brent Hubbs, I read the 10 things I think. Thought it was very entertaining at VolQuest.com. You had a lot of thoughts in a lot of different ways about this victory, but now that you've had some real hours to sort of digest it all, what jumps out the most?
To me, it's the offensive line play. I think I start there with this team because they had to do the shuffle that they had to make on Saturday morning, which was unexpected. I think it says a lot about Jesse Perry's knowledge of the game and his understanding of the system in year two to be able to bounce out and play right tackle on short notice. Sham Umarov, that's the first real playing time he's got. I thought he held up well. I like the foundation they started with that offensive line yesterday. I don't think Syracuse is terrific defensively. I don't think they're great up front. There'll certainly be better fronts that Tennessee's going to play. But given some adversity that they dealt with game one with all the new pieces that they had there, I liked what the offensive line did. I would start there. Now, let's talk about Joey Aguilar, and I think Joey played well too. But for me, it starts with the offensive front.
865-657-1278 if you'd like to text us a question. That's 865-657-1278. Joey Aguilar, overall completion percentage, probably not exactly where Josh Heupel wants it. Missed some throws. There were some drops. It didn't look like the passing game was 100% in sync, but it's game one with an inexperienced receiving core and a new quarterback. Still, they got productivity, and I think what jumps out to a lot of people, the 73-yard touchdown pass to Braylon Staley. People have been waiting on this Tennessee offense to hit a bomb for quite some time, dating back to the early part of last season. Did in a Vanderbilt game. It took a while to get it going last year. Maybe that's an early thought that Tennessee can start hitting those big plays consistently throughout the year.
Yeah, that's what you think. And here's what I like about that play. And I think when you talk big picture Joey Aguilar, and I know that's not what you asked, but let me go this direction a little bit. Big picture Joey Aguilar, 24 years of age, showed up. And what I mean by that, when you look at that specific play, there's no safety in the middle of the field. So you've got all the green grass to work with on the inside. So throw your guy open. He's got the DB on his back. So don't throw it straight line and give the DB a chance to climb his back or come over top of him. Let him bend that route a little bit more. Make it an easier catch for him. I love the ball placement on that one because I think that it made it an easier throw for Joey, and I think it made it an easier catch for Braylon Staley. And I think that's what 24 years of age playing a lot of football does for you, because he didn't throw it exactly on the line where he was supposed to. He threw it inside and let him go get it. I thought that was a mature play and a mature throw from a guy who's played a lot of football.
Your contention is that Staley could be a guy that statistically has a big year for Tennessee. Why?
Because I think, one, he's going to play the slot position a lot, and I think the slot gets the ball thrown to him a lot in this offense when they're in their traditional three-receiver stuff. So I think that. The other thing, too, is I think he has wiggle to him. I think he has good speed vertically. I think he can catch and make some people miss. I think he can run slants. I think he can run bubbles. I think he can run verticals. If he stays healthy, I think he's gonna play a lot. Remember this about Braylon Staley. A year ago, he was a guy who was going to be Squirrel White's backup in the slot, pulled his hamstring in fall camp as a freshman, and it set him back for a month, essentially. He lost all of fall camp, and it was really into mid-September, and then the decision is, do you redshirt him? Do you play him? What do you do there when you look at where you're at receiver? And they ended up redshirting him. This staff was really high on him out of the gates last year. They thought that he could help as a freshman. He's had a year in the weight room. He's had a year to learn the offense. I think he's a great fit for them in the slot. Jason Swain, we talked about it, and Jason Swain bragged on his feet. Really loves his feet at the line of scrimmage. Thinks he can create some separation and things he does with his feet. I thought he got off the line great because he was split out wide on the deep ball because they were in two tight ends. I thought he did a great job getting a free release at the line of scrimmage on that deep ball. Didn't get clogged up or held up on a jam. I think he's got a lot of tools to work with, Mike.
We're in the midst of the Rackley Roofing recap, a breakdown of Tennessee's win over Syracuse, presented by Rackley Roofing, transforming the roofing industry with unmatched customer service, detailed documentation, and the highest safety standards. Rackley Roofing, the proud official roofer of the Tennessee Volunteers. Two tight ends, you mentioned that. Tennessee in two tights, a great deal in that ball game on Saturday in Atlanta.
I think that formation just is really good for them. I really do. I think they're not going to probably live in it all year long as much as they did last year, because I think as Travis Smith develops and Brazel continues to round into form and Mike Matthews and Staley, you feel like you've got maybe some more receiver weapons as the season progresses than what you had a year ago. You throw in Travis Smith, Rodarius Jackson. Even though don't have great numbers there, if they're healthy, they have some weapons and some options there. But I tell you, I think Ethan Davis and Miles Kitselman are really good players now, and I think the two young kids are going to be good players too. There's a lot of things you can do, because when you go to that two tight set, and that's what happened on the Braylon Staley play. Okay, we're in two tights, double wing. Now it's a box count. So where's the safety going? I've got to make the safety declare something. If he's going to go play center field, right, he's going to play back third, then I got numbers and I can run it. And I got two tight ends that's sitting in front of me. I got good numbers. If he's going to crawl down in the box and I've got middle of the field wide open, then I can go vertical and get after him. And that's exactly what they did on that play. They went two verticals. One safety rolls to Mike Matthews' side. The other, there's nobody else in the middle of the field with a single safety deal, and it's touchdown. So I think that you can manipulate the defensive stuff with your two tight end sets. I think they can also flex out of it a little bit as they go with Ethan Davis. I think the one thing I took away big picture, Mike, there's maybe more versatility in what they want to do or what they can do offensively. In 22, they played in the same formation really the whole year. Now, they motioned the slot a little bit, but it was three receivers, tight end, and a running back. And that was, come get us. This is what we're going to do. Yesterday, two tights. Yesterday, you're in a pistol. You motion a receiver.
That was a lot more motion than we've seen since Heupel's been here.
Yeah, they showed a little bit in 22 with Jalen Hyatt, but not a ton. But, yeah, I think that is one of the – when you do your off-season self-scout, I think that's one of the things they came away with is let's see if we can manipulate the defense, get the defense to declare some stuff a little bit more and see if we can get some guys out of position. So, yeah, I think that's been an off-season kind of evolution. I don't think Tennessee showed their whole arsenal yesterday of some new wrinkles that they have. They've got some versatility because of the depth at tight end and because of some of the skill set they have at running back. I think they can do some different things offensively than what we've seen previously under Heupel.
Kitselman, 2 catches for 10 yards, and yet both catches were extremely significant. That was a stat line that didn't tell the story. The one-hand catch inside the 10 that set up the 2-yard touchdown, and then the touchdown catch in the back of the end zone. Really pretty play. Kitselman on the field a lot, getting back into it after not taking any contact throughout practice after the offseason surgery. Really good to see him back. And, again, 2 for 10, one of those 2 for a touchdown. Impressive.
Yeah, he's a pro. I mean, I think he's a pro. I think he's going to play, pro ball. I think that's who he is. And I think he can do a lot of things. He's physical, but he's a better pass catcher than anybody ever dreamed. When he came here out of the transfer portal, it was like extra offensive linemen. Like, what are they sort of getting here? And the reality is they got a guy who's better in space than he ever had a chance to show at his previous stop. That touchdown catch, that's a hard play for both him and the quarterback.
Sure is.
One, he has to be slow there because he's got to sell it. He's got to sell that he's blocking before he releases. Got a free runner coming in at Joey Aguilar, veteran 24-year-old play. He took a step and a half back to give Kitzelman time to clear, as you talked about on the radio with Ramon yesterday. Made it an easier play, but that's a young player there gets really excited. That's a veteran going, all right, I know what I got to do, and that's a veteran quarterback going, I got to give him enough time to get out there before I, throw it too early. So that was a really good play by both those guys.
That's the Rackley Roofing Recap, brought to you by the official roofer of the Tennessee Volunteers, Rackley Roofing. To the questions from the text line at 865-657-1278. Let's start Jeremiah in Hickson. Do you expect significant playing time for Jake Merklinger and George McIntyre against ETSU?
I think it's what you hope to do, but you got to go take care of business first and foremost out of the gate. This is an ETSU team that had nearly 600 yards of offense yesterday. They rushed for 392 yards. Now they're playing, they were playing someone in kind of their level. They beat Murray State and beat up on them pretty good. You would like to play a bunch of people is what you would like to do by design. And I think they would like to get some opportunities for them. But you got to go take care of business and get it settled in first. But I think you would like to play as many as you could.
Kevin in Columbia, you will be hard-pressed to find three better running backs as a unit than what Tennessee has. Do you think they continue the rotation? Also, were you surprised by the number of passes to the running backs?
I think they'll continue the rotation because I think last year was an anomaly. I don't think that's the norm. Dylan Sampson was the bell cow a year ago. I think he had 182 more carries than anybody else did on the team. You look at previous years, the separation in a number of carries between 1 and 3 on the roster was like 50 carries or something to that effect is the average. So they're more comfortable with a rotation of guys than they are one single guy. For me, I think the question is, do they handle the rotation like they did yesterday or on Saturday when it's Bishop for the first series, Peyton Lewis for the second series, Star Thomas for the third series, and then we'll sort of figure it out from there. Do they continue to go with that? If so, how hard is it for a guy to get in a rhythm and not press? I think that's the challenge if you're going to do that all the way through all season long. But Star Thomas is going to be a factor. He is going to play in this rotation. Peyton Lewis is going to play. Deshaun Bishop's going to play. I think all three will play. The middle screen was beautiful, wasn't it? I mean, to Bishop, I mean, that was a really well designed.
That and
the
the swing screen where he had Kitzelman in front of him for I think it was 25 yards. Well executed play. I'm not surprised to answer the question about how many passes they're throwing to the running backs because I think all of these guys are very capable in the pass game. Why not use them? And that's also something for a new quarterback to have, that not a hard decision, not a hard throw, something that he can take early on to help get him in a rhythm.
And don't you think that play is available in the college game more than ever because of the way defenses play? A lot of pass rush, stack the box here. I mean, tight end leaking out, swing pass to the running back. I mean, you're asking a lot of coverage there.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point because you're in 5 defensive backs so much, but you're kind of all over the place. You're worried about wide receivers a lot more than tight ends. So Kitzelman is going to be able to get out there probably with nobody trailing him at full speed, and he's going to be able to thump somebody with a block. It's behind the line of scrimmage, and so he's able to get rolling very quickly and get on somebody. I thought Bishop really hit it well too. Mm-hmm. He had a little patience at the first, and then he turned on the jets. I like them all in the passing game. I think Lewis is a better pass receiver than what people know, and certainly Star Thomas really good in the passing game.
That was a receiver type decision he made in the end zone on his touchdown
sure was.
catch. That was a comeback, help my quarterback out. I mean, Most running backs don't play it that way.
Well, he turned down the field. What was interesting is when he saw Aguilar break the pocket on the left side, he went into open space drill. Essentially, he got around the side and did a wonderful job getting into the end zone to get open, and it was a terrific throw. Jason Swain, we're quoting Jason Swain all over the place here, but he said it. He said that was a wide receiver catch. Super catch, not an easy ball for a running back to handle, but really pretty play by the quarterback, showing that athleticism, showing that he's a football player, and Star Thomas showing that he's not just a running back that he can catch football.
Yeah, and to show those plays in the red zone, I think, is imperative.
Oh.
If you're going to be a good red zone team, your quarterback's going to have to make a breakdown play for you. He's going to have to create some stuff, and he did that there. I do think they want to get the ball in space to the backs more, and I think they want to challenge defenses because you're trying to find out where these safeties are going. You know, this DB, is he an overhang? Is he coming in the box? What are you doing? If he's worried about sideline stuff with the backs, maybe you slow that down a little bit, and that could ultimately help you with a quarterback run game or some of your RPO stuff as well. So I do think you'll continue to see the back use in the passing game, particularly in the flat. If I were offensive coordinator, I would call that stuff in the flat multiple times a game because I just think that is a hard play for defenses to cover because of the way that college defenses play.
Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Brent Hubbs, Mike Keith, your text questions at 865-657-1278.
Big Orange Rewind.
Sponsored by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Complete coverage for every phase of life.
By the natural gas utilities and pipeline companies in Tennessee.
Natural gas.
Pilot, the official travel stop of the Vols. See you out here. RJV Kubota, with 2 convenient locations in Knoxville and Nashville. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Coach Josh Heupel on decision making.
With our offensive play calling, we have to make decisions quickly. But there's one decision I don't have to make, my bank. Instead of choosing between big bank solutions and small bank spirit, I get the best of both with First Horizon.
Big bank muscle, small bank hustle.
For every play in life, there's a bank that has your back. That's First Horizon. Proudly serving Tennesseans for over 160 years.
It's football time in Tennessee, and that means it's time for Calhoun's. Whether you're headed to the game or watching from home, make Calhoun's your pregame, postgame, and every game headquarters. From hickory smoked pulled pork to the legendary ribs, juicy burgers, and mouthwatering brisket, Calhoun's delivers the flavor that fuels Big Orange fans. With 9 convenient East Tennessee locations, there's a Calhoun's near you. So gather your friends, wear your orange, and experience why they're the taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's, proud to serve ball fans since 1983.
It's football time in Tennessee, and Alumni Hall is the place to gear up for your Tennessee Vols. Shop the largest and newest selection of top brands like Nike, Columbia, Peter Millar, New Era, Yeti, and more. Mix and match champion tees, 2 for $38, and spend $150 to earn $10 Hall cash for your next visit. Shop AlumniHall.com. Visit Alumni Hall in Knoxville, Murfreesboro, Bristol, or Johnson City, or download their app. Alumni Hall, the ultimate volunteer shopping destination.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit RJV Kubota locally in Knoxville or Nashville. RJV Kubota, a proud supporter of the Vols.
This is Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
865-657-1278. That's the way you text us a question. Parker in Pulaski listening to WKSR, Outstanding Ball Network station. He wants to know, do you think the defensive line will get better than they were? They weren't bad, but they got ran on pretty bad. Credit to their running back, who was pretty good. That's what Parker says. And he's talking about Yasin Willis, who big back. Seems to me, if I'm Syracuse, I start leaning on him a lot because you don't see a guy like that anymore.
No, you don't. And he's not going to be a game breaker. I think Syracuse's longest run was 14 yards, but Syracuse defensively is still growing and still has some issues and some things they're trying to improve on. They're young, got some new guys there. I think they can morph offensively if they're willing to do so and become a more running team and not throw it 45 times a game. Shorten the clock, help your defense out a little bit. I honestly thought they got away from the run in the fourth quarter. I thought with about 10 minutes to go and that a two-possession game, I thought they had Tennessee reeling a little bit up front and they could have run the football more.
I thought they also made a mistake not kicking the point at 38-26 because suddenly you made it a 12-point game instead of an 11-point game where a field goal, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion would get you in a tie. Sometimes you start chasing points so early when you'd be better off to just kick. And so I think some of that mindset went into what you're talking about, going away from the run game. They were still very much in it, and I credit Syracuse. They're down 17-0. They're down 31-14 at the half. They're down early in the third quarter, 38-14. They kept coming. They play for Fran Brown. And I think that's a football team that will get better as the year goes on, especially with what all they lost and how much new they have.
I think they're going to get better in the offensive line.
I do too.
And I think that's where they're going to be different than they were a year ago. To answer his question specifically about Tennessee's defensive line, they got to get healthy, first of all. Not having Jackson Moy for essentially the game. I mean, he got hurt early in the first quarter. Had an effect. You got no Hobbs. Davin Hobbs is out with the foot. You had Nathan Robinson, who played well, but he was battling an ankle. He was in and out of the injury retent really the whole second half.
Well, part of his problem is he really hasn't practiced.
Nope.
Because he's been battling I guess it's a thumb or something with his hand. And so he's been conditioning, trying to do some things, but he hasn't been playing lots of football to this point. And so sometimes when you do that and then you're asked to play a lot of plays, it's tough.
Yeah, and what happened is you got some combinations in there that you didn't really want to have on the field in terms of your two inside guys. You also lost your linebacker in Arion Carter for a while in the second half.
Over a quarter.
Over hydration. That had an effect. You got a little light in your rear end and your posterior. Ethan Utley's going to be a good player. He's got to play lower because he's fighting not being heavy enough right now. And so I think he got a little indoctrination into it yesterday of just, okay, yeah, this is what it is. He'll be much better for it. But, I mean, he had some moments where they came off the ball on him, pretty good. I'm not picking on him. I'm just saying in general. So, yes, they've got to be better. I think they will be better. But to get better, I think they've got to get healthy, first of all, and then go from there.
Well, you wonder, do you take this week to get healthy and play more depth, because you're certainly going to need all of your depth against Georgia.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting dilemma for Rodney Garner, Tim Banks, and Josh Heupel is that, do you just set anybody that's kind of close and you don't want to take any chances here? Do you feel like you can? Again, they rushed for almost 400 yards yesterday, so they're going to come in trying to run the football. How much do you think you got to, or do you play some guys early and try to get them off the field and get them some rest? Do you not take chances with some guys? That'll be an interesting storyline to watch this week as Tennessee gets ready to play this game.
Preston and Morristown had almost the same question about the defensive line. How can the defensive line shut down some of the rushing yards? And agreed, it was a problem overall, yet they ran it a lot. And you make mention the longest run was just 14 yards, which is a big factor.
Yeah, I mean, even if you take the sacks out in the first half, it was they averaged 3.6 yards a carry. I had 16 rushes for 57 yards in the first half, which is not terrible.
No. Well, it's 3.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, and so then you get into, I think the third quarter, Josh Heupel talked about this after the game. I think they lost. I think this team lost their edge a little bit in the third quarter on both sides of the ball, and that's kind of changed it. That they were outside of the third quarter. I think Syracuse was 1 for 11 in third down conversions outside of the third quarter. That they ran the ball a little bit better. Tennessee offensively kind of lost their edge, I think, after that first initial score to start the second half.
But don't you think part of it is the fact that you get ahead, you're going to play the safeties back some. The big thing is you don't want to give up a big pass play because you're up 17, 24 points, whatever. Aren't you going to let them run it some?
I think so. I mean, I don't think that you stack the box on first down because you don't want Cook catching a seam on you and going 75 yards to the house.
And Russell was another one who can. I mean, they've got some guys that can flat go, and Cook really scares you.
Well, and so you look at the drive to cut it to 12, and I think this is why Syracuse didn't run the football on late in the game when they still had a chance to be in it. I think they panicked a little bit. The drive before in which they scored, that was a 12-play, 5.5-minute drive. It was very methodical, and so they're sitting there going, wait a minute, we can't go 6. We're going to run out of time if it takes us 6 minutes to score. We got to get aggressive here. I'm not sure they had to, but yeah, I think that you're trying to be careful not to get beat over the top. And so if they get a few yards, they get a few yards that way. I think Tim Banks is much more worried about the fourth down conversions that occurred in that football game than the rushing yards. There's rushing things he wants to clean up on, but I think he's much more bothered about not getting off the field.
Wayne from Rocky Top wants to know, how much did Boo Carter play? Do you expect him to play on both sides of the ball? Not right now.
No, I don't think he's going to be a factor on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe at some point going down the line, but that's not something that they're really working on. I don't think right now. I think it's been about Boo doing Boo things, getting back and being and doing what he needs to do. He played 27 snaps in the game yesterday, according to PFF. I think he'll play more this week if he handles himself. I think you're going to remember he has not practiced a ton of team stuff as well. So this will be a week I think he can get back in it. Because here's the reality. If Boo will handle himself and do all the things he's supposed to do, he makes this defense better.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good football player.
Really good.
And he will help them if he can do everything he's supposed to do week in and week out.
Well, and it's day to day.
Day to day, yes.
I mean, I think when Josh Heupel was asked the question at midweek or early in the week about Boo, I don't think everything had been decided at that point because I think they wanted to see how the week played out.
Well, every answer Josh Heupel gives is things are going well.
Based now.
Now, as of today, there's always a little caveat of some phrasing or enunciation or how he tails off the answer that lets you know today, yes, let's see what tomorrow is. Let's see what the next day is at this point.
Big Orange Rewind is presented by Calhoun's, 9 convenient locations in Knoxville and surrounding areas. And special thanks to Calhoun's on the River. Cole, the manager down there, taking care of us. We had everybody here at Big Orange Rewind had some good Calhoun's chicken for dinner.
Absolutely. We appreciate Calhoun's. It's always a staple. It's always good. Great dipping sauces to go with it. I enjoyed my Calhoun's tonight.
Attaway. Big Orange Rewind.
I enjoyed it.
You did. I'm so glad.
It was very
Big
good.
Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's. 865-657-1278. We're taking your questions via the text line. Rackley Roofing is now the official roofer of the Vols, and Rackley is more than a roofing company. They're part of the communities where they work and live, investing in neighborhoods and opening doors to a career in an industry that's growing year after year. Rackley Roofing's mission is clear. Transform the roofing industry with unmatched customer service, detailed documentation, and the highest safety standards. Because Rackley believes the ladder to a great roof is only as good as the people who climb it. Rackley Roofing. Building roofs, building futures.
UT fans know it takes teamwork to win. And when you choose Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, you get a team who served Tennesseans for 80 years. From babies to seniors, big needs to small, we offer health coverage that fits your life and your budget. All from a company right here in your community. Now that's what we call a big win. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee.
Vol Nation, if you're looking for quality performance apparel, look no further than Turtleson. Founded by UT alumni out of Bristol, Tennessee, Turtleson designs clothes and accessories that fit your lifestyle. From the office to the country club or the Tennessee Volunteers tailgate, Turtleson has the apparel that looks as good as it feels. Ask for Turtleson wherever you buy your volunteer gear or visit Turtleson.com to learn more. Turtleson is a proud sponsor of the Vol Network. Go Vols!
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining Built Ford Tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, Built Ford Tough. Based on 1977 to 2024 calendar year total sales.
Week ahead, the final analysis on this week. Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
Need a haircut? With the Great Clips app, you can put your name on the list from anywhere and head to the salon when you're up next, because getting a great haircut shouldn't mean putting your life on hold. Great Clips, it's going to be great. Back to the text line. Brent Hubbs, you ready?
I'm ready.
Keith and Franklin. Please discuss safety play. My opinion is they need to improve. Your thoughts?
I didn't have a problem with the safeties. I thought Farouk played well in space. Edris Farouk did, and that was. I knew he could come downhill and hit Mike. I thought he played well in space. Had a couple PBUs. I thought he was in good position. I thought the safety play for game one was solid. I really did. I think you feel more comfortable about Farouk and Turrentine at safety today than you probably felt going into that game. So I don't have a problem. I don't have an issue with their safety play.
Farouk is a player that the Tennessee staff is really excited about.
He's, like I said, he's better in space playing the ball in coverage or free, playing center field than I thought. He made a couple of nice breaks on the ball. I know he didn't come down with the interception, but he made a couple of nice plays when they tried to get the ball down the middle of the field. I thought he was good in space. I knew he could come downhill and hit. I don't have any worry about him in run support, if that's what you're asking him to do. I think that if he can play in space, now what do you do if they motion a receiver? Do you take, say they motion the slot? Does the star back go in motion with him, or can you rotate there and feel like you can play that a little differently and show a different look that way? I think Farouk gives you more options because of what he's showing you that he can do in space.
This is from Matthew in Winston-Salem. He's got a couple. With a 17 or 24-point lead, why are they still going up-tempo on offense?
I think that's who they are. I think that's the comfort level of who you are. There are times they slow it down if they need to, and they'll manage the clock that way. We have seen, I think Josh Heupel does a better job of that now than he did in 21 or 22. I think that's the evolution in this league. Play field position. It's okay to punt. You don't have to go for it all the time. You don't have to go fast all the time. I think there are moments where they want to go fast if they feel like it's an advantage to them. The thing about them in tempo is unless somebody goes out of bounds on their sidelines, they control if they want to go fast. And I think there's times where they feel like it's an advantage for them to do so, and then there'll be other times where they slow it down a little bit, but they're never gonna get in a huddle for 25, 30 seconds, I don't think, and get to the line of scrimmage and play that way. I think they're always going to show up tempo. Now maybe they put a freeze on it, and you take a look to me on the sideline, get your play call that way, and bleed the clock a little bit. But they're always going to look in an up tempo deal, and then they'll just decide if they want to go.
You've seen a lot more Josh Heupel football than I have, but it felt like when they're up 12 on the drive where they scored the touchdown to go up by the final margin of 19, it appeared like they were not in a big hurry right then.
Yeah, there was no NASCAR. There was no sprint to the line. We're going to go as quick as we can go. He's going to play the game that way, play the field position. He's going to play the clock. It just may not always look like that, but if you start looking at the play clock, you'll go, oh, man, they took another 30 seconds there, 25 seconds there than what they normally do. So I think that's part of the growth and sort of the evolution of this offense in this league.
At one point, they actually ran the play clock all the way down to 1 and took a timeout in the midst of that drive.
Yeah, they do. And so, I mean, they're sitting there looking at that. You got 12 points. I want to put this thing away. And if I don't score here, I don't want to leave enough time on the clock where they're going to have a couple possessions. I'm trying to eliminate a possession in this game if I can by using the clock in my favor.
You said something about being willing to punt. And wasn't a bad thing yesterday. Was not a bad thing in that football game because Jackson Ross, 4 punts for a gross of 43.8, a net of 43.8, no return yards. 3 punts down to inside the 20. 1 punt that may or may not have hit a Syracuse up back. Questionable. But exactly what you want to be able to do with Jackson Ross because he can do it.
Yeah, welcome to the Jackson Ross experience.
Right.
I mean, it's what he does. And he does it in a variety of different ways. Obviously right-footed, left-footed. But what's amazing to me about him is his patience back there. And that eliminates the potential for a return. Because sometimes, I mean, I'm standing down there watching it yesterday. I'm like, is he going to fake this here? He held the thing so long because they didn't rush. And he was like, nobody's going to come get me. I'll let all 10 guys get down there to cover the punt. And so on the rugby style stuff where there's no pressure on him and he can kind of hesitate and take his time there, it really negates the potential for a return. And that's why Tennessee's been so good. I mean, the gross versus the net in Jackson Ross's career at Tennessee is minimal. I mean, minimal, because they just don't give up a lot of return yards.
Well, 46 punts down to inside the 20, 7 touchbacks. So his ratio of punts inside the 20 to touchbacks is 6.5 to 1. That's phenomenal. And when you play good defense like Tennessee does now, which they didn't when Josh Heupel got here at first, being willing to punt and having the Jackson Ross experience I love that. He's got in NIL, there's got to be
we can market that,
there's got to be a T-shirt there somewhere, right? But I mean, it really is true because, you know, he's getting you 40-something yards of a change in field position. At one point, he had the 56-yarder that we thought almost hit Kerr, or did hit Kerr. We're not sure which. It was really close. There was just not a good camera angle on it.
I'm surprised on the replay they didn't let it keep rolling to show the second bounce. I thought the second bounce got the calf.
It looked like it got the heel or the calf. That's what we thought we saw, but even we agreed that because we were seeing the slow during the break thing, and it just wasn't definitive enough.
Yeah. Well, point being, Tennessee, that is a weapon for Tennessee. The kicking game at Tennessee has been good under Josh Heupel because their kickers have been good. I mean, no chance at a kickoff return yesterday because let's just kick it in the first row, Josh Turbeville.
8 for 8.
8 for 8. Max Gilbert, did his job and what he was supposed to do, and then Jackson Ross can flip the field for you. And I mean, you go back to the Texas A&M game 2 years ago here in Knoxville, the punting game won the game.
The punt return and the punting game.
Yeah, I mean, they punt it down. I mean, Josh Heupel has a decision at midfield. 21, he's going.
Absolutely.
He decides, we're going to punt, play field position. D. Williams downs it at the 1. They can't move it. Texas A&M can't. They kick it back to D. Williams, and he takes it to the house for a touchdown. And that's the ball game.
39-yard punt return.
And so I think that is a huge weapon. I think he is. I think Jackson Ross is really, really good.
Well, and that was an area, special teams wise, that was an area that really could scare you entering that game because Syracuse was so bad on special teams last year, just awful. So they go get a new special teams coach. You kind of feel like if they had a situation come up, they're going to pull a fake or they're going to do something to try to, this new coach is going to put his stamp on it. Tennessee never let that happen. Tennessee didn't make a mistake on special teams. And on paper, you felt like Tennessee was the better team. Mm-hmm. But the way they could lose this game is make a big mistake on special teams. Have a bunch of turnovers on offense or whatever. Still too many penalties. I think everybody agrees with that. But obviously one turnover, which was flipped right back, not only in a turnover, but a touchdown on the next play, and the fact that special teams was so solid.
Yeah.
Don't lose it there, right. And they absolutely did not.
Yeah, and I mean, the best special teams play Syracuse made was the push punt.
It was nicely done.
Which was nicely done. But outside of that, they were never really in a position that you thought that, okay, this is a potential fake opportunity right. here. And Tennessee played for the onside kick, I think, for the most part, the entire second half, in case they were trying to steal a possession. Tennessee's just been really fundamentally sound in the kicking game and what they do. They have their own weapons, and they just haven't hurt themselves in the kicking game. It's been a strength of this team. They've created more yards and created more plays for themselves in the kicking game than they've given up in the Josh Heupel era.
865-657-1278, 865-657-1278 for your chance to text us a question and join in the conversation here on Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's on the Vol Radio Network.
A farm, a family, and a tradition of premium fresh sausage that's lasted almost a century, using only the freshest ingredients and finest cuts of meat for flavor that is locked in instantly. Each bite of Swaggerty's Farm sausage transports you back to a warm, cozy southern kitchen, leaving you satisfied and ready to take on the day. Swaggerty's Farm, quite possibly the best tasting sausage in America. Now available at your local retailers.
Here's a fresh twist on your typical banking options. What if, instead of choosing between a big bank or a small bank, you had one bank that's the best of both? Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Big bank expertise and small bank savvy. All the resources to help you reach your dreams.
And the personal touch to keep you smiling all along the way. That's First Horizon Bank, the official bank of the Vols. The Vol Walk is a legendary journey from Circle Park to Gate 21 at Neyland Stadium. This is Coach Josh Heupel. Speaking of legendary journeys, Pilot's been out here fueling game day road trips and tailgates for over 60 years. That's why they've partnered with the Vols to preserve Neyland Stadium, ensuring that traditions like the Vol Walk endure for generations to come. Next time you head out to cheer on the Vols, make your game day journey legendary with a stop at Pilot. See you out here.
Tennessee fans, your game day isn't complete without Calhoun's. Whether you're inside Neyland Stadium for the game or tailgating on campus or at home, Calhoun's has you covered with shareable small bites, family feed packs, and party platters. Imagine your tailgate piled high with hickory smoked ribs, tender pulled pork, and that famous barbecue chicken. The best of Tennessee on one plate. Call ahead or order online and make your game day legendary. Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
Mike, Brent, and you. Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
All right, Brent Hubbs, I got to ask your opinion on something that is fascinating to many in the world of college sports. Potential expansion. Brett McMurphy reports that North Carolina and Virginia, as in those in Chapel Hill and those in Charlottesville, are attractive to both the Big Ten and the SEC in expansion. I haven't heard much about expansion lately. Do you believe those are the two teams that people want, two schools people want?
Yeah, I think there is a lot. Virginia academically, regionally, I think there would be some attraction there. North Carolina, both academically and obviously basketball and athletic. I think North Carolina has kind of been the most attractive ACC team for the Big Ten because of the academic side of it. I think that a lot of people feel like they may fit better, with some of that stuff and academics up there. Same for Virginia. I think what's interesting with the SEC and expansion is now that you know you're going to 9 games in the conference, does that make it easier to expand? Because you can put the model in and you can still go play and get to wherever you want to go, and everybody plays everybody and goes to everybody's stadium and all those things. And if you are going to expand again, I don't think the SEC wants to get out of the geography of the footprint. I don't think they want to go ACC. You got Miami and you got, Syracuse. I don't think that's the geography play that this league wants to make.
Here's what I think.
All right.
I think these are the 2 schools for the SEC if they're going to expand. Because these are 2 areas you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, if you get Virginia, you've got the state of Virginia, obviously, the flagship school. That also takes you towards the DMV, moves you towards Washington, D.C., which is a big market. You don't have the state of North Carolina. Obviously, both of them are outstanding academically. They have a lot of history in other sports, in basketball in particular. It makes a ton of sense. Some people would say, well, Clemson, you've already got South Carolina. Some people would say Miami or Florida State. You've already got Florida. Those are the sorts of things, to me, that get you in different regions that make you more marketable because your rights in terms of your television, your streaming, your marketing, your licensing, anything you're going to do, those 2 bring you something you don't have right now.
And they do it within the footprint of where you are. You're not going to the West Coast to get a market.
Right.
You're doing it within the footprint for the most part of who you are.
Well, the Big Ten wants to be a national conference.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, that's what they want to be, and they think that's fine. And, some of their travel issues, in particular for non-major sports, are big issues.
Right.
But, there are a lot of questions about that right now with NIL and the House settlement anyway.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, I think the question is, and this is the interesting place that commissioners are in right now. What's the number? Where do you need to be? I need to be bigger because that gives me more weight if there's ever a breakaway with these 2 leagues? All of those, you're starting to look at sort of all of those things as well. The challenge with the ACC is everybody going to get out? What's the penalty for getting out? That's been the whole talk about Florida State. If they were to leave, how much are they going to cost them? What's the ACC going to do with all of that? What's the lawsuit there? That part, I do think the 2 most attractive teams to anybody in expansion in that league right now are North Carolina and Virginia.
I think they're the 2 that make sense. You also say, with what they've just done at North Carolina, and Mac Brown has said it, they've finally gotten serious about football. They not only go hire Bill Belichick, but they're putting a bunch of money in football now. And, they've always been much more of a basketball school in terms of what their approach has been. Bubba Cunningham is leaving as the AD, and he was a guy who was much more centered toward what their traditional model was. And so now are they gearing up to go to more of a football conference, understanding that while basketball is a big deal, football is where the money is going forward?
Mike, if you're going to play in the NIL world, you're going to play in the rev share world, you're going to play in a potential, if the conferences are going to break away, you're going to go to a super conference. You're not going to be in the super conference if you're not committed to football. It's just not going to be the case.
Yeah.
You're not going to be invited to the party. So at some point, if you are not a football-centered university in athletics, you're going to have to make a decision to be, or you're going to have to understand we're not going to be a part of the traditional Power 4 big boys as we know it, because at some point it's going to break away. I think we all believe that we're going to get to that at some point in time. I think you better be committed to football if you want to stay in that party.
It certainly looks like North Carolina has moved that way, whether Belichick is there to stay or not.
I think, how do you not financially in this day and age? And no offense to basketball. It just doesn't generate the money even average football generates. Football is the front porch. Football is the bankroll. It is you have to have that if you're going to be that type of athletic department. If you want to play with, your, quote, competitors, you can't just do it in the sport of basketball. There's not enough money for you out there.
No, and certainly, too, with so many more teams in basketball, there never really could be.
No, can't. I mean, it's just the dispersion is there. You know, you've got the NCAA. There's just not enough money. There's not enough potential revenue. Now, if the NCAA, if the field of 68, whatever we're at now, whatever it's going to, if that ever broke away from the NCAA, maybe you're in a different place financially and there's more money there. With where it's at right now, it's not going to generate football money. It just never has and never will.
I think it's fascinating about North Carolina and Virginia finally coming to this forefront. Someone told me who knows some stuff over a year ago that these were the two schools that would be the most attractive.
And I think they're most attractive to both conferences, not just to one over the other.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly see where they would be to the Big Ten as well, because you're right. They fit their model for what they like to consider themselves in terms of the academic part of it, because they're great academic schools. Do you still believe that Alabama, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina are going to be Tennessee's three regular opponents?
2 of the 3 I'm on board with. I don't know about the.
But you're saying South Carolina.
I don't know. Because here's the thing, and I know
are you backing off?
Well, of course.
Are you really backing off?
I'm waffling as I always do in life. That's me, right? I look at the Kentucky thing. How much difference is there in Kentucky and South Carolina, for one? And if you take Tennessee away from Kentucky, who is Kentucky's rival?
Who does Kentucky have?
Who's their rival? If you're gonna try to hold some rivalries and tradition together.
Love to hear from you. 865-657-1278. 865-657-1278. Text questions are always welcome on Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
Miss any of today's Rewind? Catch the full podcast with Mike Keith and Brent Hubbs. UTSports.com. We are the Vol Network. Exclusive guests, insider analysis. You know what happened. Find out why and how and what happens next. This is Big Orange Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's. A taste of Tennessee. Grab a taste after the next Tennessee game. Calhoun's.
Tennessee, a winner on Saturday at Atlanta over Syracuse, 45-26. Star Thomas leads the Vols in rushing, 12 carries for 92 yards. Deshaun Bishop right behind, 11 rushes for 82 yards. Brent Hubbs, one thing that stands out about the Vols, not only did they rush for 247 in the game, they lost only 13 total yards in the run game. So Star Thomas had a -1 rush. Deshaun Bishop had a -2 rush. Joey Aguilar had 2 -4s, one on the fumble and one on the bad snap. And then the other -2 was the kneel down.
You're saying that's pretty good?
I'm saying that they're not getting knocked backwards. So when you talk about the ball running backs, and Peyton Lewis, 8 carries for 38 yards and a touchdown. Joey Aguilar, 6 carries for 34 yards, including a 25-yarder. When you talk about those 4 guys making things happen, you have to be really excited about what you were able to see from Tennessee.
Yeah, +2 is the mantra. You always finish with +2. You're falling forward. That's been Deshaun Bishop since he was playing Little League ball somewhere. I mean, he is a guy that doesn't get knocked backwards. Star Thomas is an interesting player to be. He's a better football player than I thought he was when he came in. And he was productive, but I had not seen enough of him to really know. Here's the other thing about Tennessee's run game. And you're supposed to win when you rush for 200 yards. Okay, so Josh Heupel's record is good when they rush for 200 more yards. But here's what's interesting. In his career at Tennessee, Josh Heupel his offense has now put up 200 yards or more rushing 30 times in his tenure as Tennessee's head coach. for all of the explosive and all of this Art Briles, we spread it, we throw it everywhere, almost feels everybody wants to describe it as some kind of run and shoot, everything else. They run the ball so well. They just run it different than other people run it. But they're so effective running the football, and they're so committed to running the football. To put up that kind of rushing total that many times in 4+ years here at Tennessee says a lot about what they're doing in the run game. And it's unique, and it's so effective.
865-657-1278, 865-657-1278. That's the text line. We would love for you to text us a question, and we'll be happy to answer whatever we can, discuss the topics, whatever, to discuss the Volunteers in football right now going on with a 1-0 team about to take on East Tennessee State. It's time to take an in-depth look at the Vols' next opponent, the ETSU Buccaneers, with the Built Ford Tough Report brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Tennessee football in the Ford F-150, tough, runs in our family. Head coach Will Healy, in his first year in Johnson City, is ETSU's third head coach in as many years. The Bucs defeated Murray State 45-17 in their season opener. Quarterback duties were split Saturday by graduate quarterbacks Jacoby Criswell and Cade McNamara. May remember McNamara's name. He played at both Michigan and Iowa. McNamara was 12 of 17 for 146 yards and a touchdown. Criswell 5 of 8 for 34 yards. He also rushed for 46. But where East Tennessee State got it done offensively was on the ground, rushing for nearly 400 yards. Running back Devontae Houston, 128 rushes on 14 carries against the Racers. 3 of ETSU's top four pass catchers from last year return, headlined by senior wide receiver Kareem Page. Linebacker Ty Anderson and cornerback Jimmy Baldry are 2 of the Bucs' top leaders on defense. This Built Ford Tough report was brought to you by your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers. All right, for those who may not know, give us the story on the new head coach in Johnson City, Will Healy.
Will Healy's name has been thrown around for a long time. He's been fast-tracked at different points in time. He made his mark, if you will, at Austin Peay and did a nice job with the Governors up there and recruited well, brought in a bunch good players, and was competitive, scared some teams, scared some of the bigger opponents. Did a good job there, and it's kind of bounced and landed in some spots that didn't work out for him for whatever reasons. And now he's back at ETSU. They brought in, I think, 22, 25 transfers, something like that. They've tried to flip that roster. They've won some recruiting battles against some decent teams, with some Power 5 players. And he's trying to get a restart. He's trying to sort of reset his clock a little bit as a coach because he's not on the, quote, fast track that he once was. But he's always been an aggressive guy. And I mean that in a good way, but he's been an aggressive coach who's willing to take chances. They may run double pass. They may run reverses on you. He will try to schematically do some things to cause you some problems and will be aggressive in this game. They'll fake punt, that type of deal. And he's trying to get this game in the second half and see if he can scare some people. And he doesn't mind coaching and likes coaching in games like that. So Will Healy's been around for a bit, but like I said, he was kind of the fast-track guy a few years ago, and it kind of hadn't developed that way, and now he's sort of resetting his clock at ETSU.
865-657-1278. Text question from Roger in Lewisburg. Thought the O-line played well, especially considering the Saturday morning lineup adjustment. How deep are we on players the staff feel comfortable with playing in the offensive line?
Well, I think you throw David Sanders into the mix when he's healthy.
And the feeling is he'll have a real chance to be back this week?
Yeah, I think so. And I think you want to play him this week. You do not want his first action to be, as a freshman, probably to be baptism against an SEC school. So if he's going to be a factor, I think, in a Georgia game, you got to get him some work this week against ETSU and get his feet under him a little bit that way. So, yeah, I think barring any kind of setback, I think they feel like he will be in a position, it feels like he'll be in a position to be able to play and go. So if you add him into the mix, there's 6. They showed a lot of confidence in Satterwhite, putting him in backed up, coming off the goal line. He's had a few snap issues in camp. That was something that Glenn Ellerby talked about when he met with the media that they got to clean up. So, your first action is backed up that way.
Well,
shows
he
a
had
lot
some
of confidence.
issues in the spring too.
Yeah, shows a lot of confidence in putting him in that situation. I think they believe in William Satterwhite, so I think that would take them to 7 that they feel pretty comfortable with right now. And
Umarov too.
Yeah, but he would be in that 5, and I would add David Sanders would be in there as the 6th one, and then Satterwhite would be your 7. So that would be my 7 guys kind of right now on the offensive line, I think.
Does Tennessee have speed at linebacker to compete with the Georgias and the Alabamas of this world? That's from Steve in Cleveland.
I think they run well. Now, here's the thing. You got to know where you're running to. You can run well, but if you're not running to the right spot, you're not very fast. And what I mean by that is if you don't know schematically what you're supposed to do and you take 2 false steps, you could be the fastest linebacker in the world, and you're going to get beat by somebody who's slower because they're going the right way at the start of the play. So I do like the speed of Tennessee. I think we saw Jaden Harmon can run. Edwin Spillman can run.
Arion Carter
can run. So I like their speed. I think for those young guys, it's continuing to eliminate the missed assignments, the false steps, that type of thing. And I think they will only get better as you move forward. But I think there's confidence in Spillman. I think there's confidence in Carter. I think there's confidence in T. Lander. Where are they after that? Does Harmon come on? Does this kind of get him going because he got some meaningful snaps in there? I don't know. We'll see who the 4th linebacker would be, but I think they feel very comfortable with 3 right now.
Right now, it's Ben Bolton.
Mm-hmm. And again, if you line Ben Bolton up and you line him up in a race, he's not going to win the linebacker race. But if he's going the right way every time when the ball's snapped, he's going to be okay.
Well, so you've got Perlotti, you've got Burns, you've got Harmon, you've got Ains, the freshman. All of those guys seem to fit that mold of a more athletic player who, if the defensive line is doing their job and taking up those blockers, they have the explosion to get there and make something happen.
Here's the remarkable thing, and listen, I'll be the first to criticize coaches and have throughout my career about being afraid to play young guys. You got to wait till they're perfect before you play them. They got to know every assignment or you don't trust them out there. You're sitting out there Saturday in the 4th quarter of a 12-point game, and there's Ben Bolden and Jaden Harmon playing linebacker. And they had other linebackers available. It wasn't like they were all in the injury tent. It wasn't like the top 3 guys there. William Inch is like, it's your go. You go play.
Well, they had made a commitment as a staff that they were going to play these players.
And they've done that at linebacker the whole time they've been here. You go back to Arion Carter, and if he was sitting right here, he would tell you the biggest moment in his career as a linebacker was his freshman year playing in a critical situation against South Carolina. And he will tell you he learned more in that experience and took more from that to give him confidence to go play than anything he's done in his career. They have played young linebackers from the get-go at Tennessee.
And fans understandably get tired of hearing people say, coaches, a lot of times, make the comment, well, he's like a coach on the field. That's like, well, great. He's like a coach on the field. He knows the defense better than anybody. Well, he can't get there.
Right.
And so you've got a guy standing over there who's the Tasmanian devil, and you don't play him because he doesn't know as much as the coach on the field. I get it. I know you want to be comfortable with responsibility, but sometimes you just have to send a guy out there who's going to blow something up.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this day and age.
And they've done that here.
They have. They have done
Which
that.
is how they've developed the defense, is they've had the confidence to say, we're not losing our lives here as a program if we put a guy in who maybe doesn't know everything because, oh, by the way, he's an incredible athlete, and the only way he's really going to learn is to get out there and be in the middle of it.
Ricky Gibson played as a freshman at corner, isolated on an island on the road in the
But
SEC.
don't you think that's why they're good on defense right now?
Yeah, I think that's where they totally develop, for sure. And I think that they have made that commitment, and it started really up front with their commitment to play as many defensive linemen as they did. And then the linebackers did that. The secondary, I think, has got on board with that and playing more people. Regular rotation. Listen, Ty Redmond played more snaps than you thought he was going to play because Ricky Gibson went out. But guess what? Ty Redmond was going to play in the first half of that game anyway.
All right, go back to the recruitment of Ty Redmond. How big a recruit was Ty Redmond on, the stars and all of that?
He was solid. I mean, he was a good recruit. I mean, it wasn't one of those everybody was lining up to follow his announcement.
But don't you think that one of the reasons that you go get Ty Redmond is because this staff is now in their 5th year? Defensive coordinator's been here for 5 years. Willie Martinez is the veteran in the secondary. You know who you need now. And while you need every 5-star you can get in all of this, sometimes there are guys who just so fit you that the number of stars don't matter as much as the traits that you need in your defense.
Agreed.
And you can if you go get that player that you identify because your system's in place, that you can develop that player, even quickly develop that player to make a difference. Ty Redmond's long. He's 6'2". He's 195 pounds. He's very aggressive, much like Colton Hood, who they brought in as a transfer. But that's having a coaching staff that's been here as well and can recruit to the traits of the defense and recruit the traits of the player to fit the traits of the defense. It's a big deal.
And he comes from a winning program
right.
at Georgia. He was a 3-star player. He was the 80th ranked player in the state of Georgia.
He doesn't look like it.
But look at this. Cam Sutton, 3-star. Emmanuel Mosley, 2-star. Justin Coleman, 3-star. Theo Jackson, 3-star. What do all those guys have going on right now? They've all been in the National Football League and had a career. Jalen McCullough in the National Football League. The thing that Willie Martinez and Tim Banks have, and it's exactly what you're talking about, they know what they want, and they could care less what the ranking of it is. That's the player. I want that guy. Are they going to bat 100% on all of them? No, doesn't work that way. But they have a history of finding these types of players, and they are better. They were under-recruited, if you will, coming out of high school because they fit all of their intangibles that they're looking for as football players.
And which state
Georgia
puts the highest percentage of players in the NFL?
Georgia. Yeah. And I mean that's where it's the athletes that play down there.
It's incredible.
What they do. It's every
when you
Friday
and I
night.
started together 30-something years ago, it was true, and it's true now. And that is, that state has great football within big-time city limits. In the biggest cities, the football in those counties, like in Fulton County, it's outstanding. In the suburbs, it's outstanding. In the rural areas, it's outstanding. I don't know of any state like it where the level of competition is such that you take a player from any region, from any sort of mark in that state, and you can find somebody who's ready to compete right away because the level of competition is so solid throughout that entire state.
And I would throw in that, if you want another tangible evidence of that, I've long said, I think that state is recruited more than any other state in the South is recruited. We sat here last week and talked about Tennessee not having a bunch of Florida kids on the roster. But I'm going to tell you what, look at everybody's roster in the SEC. Look at some rosters in some Big Ten schools in the North. And you know what you're going to find? You're going to find players from the state of Georgia. Auburn comes over. Alabama comes over that state. Florida State, Florida, Georgia, Clemson, South Carolina, Tennessee. All of these people are converging on Atlanta. There's so many prospects in that state that are playing around the country. Just magnifies the level of competition that's played throughout the state of Georgia.
Well, Tennessee with 20 Georgia kids on the roster, 15 of them are from the Atlanta Metro. And that's not even counting Rome, Georgia as part of the Atlanta Metro.
Which it is now.
Well, probably that's probably true.
Close to it, but it's so competitive, and it's the football down there at that level is just really good football.
Well, it's exciting for Tennessee that they're in there the way they are, recruiting so well. But it's also exciting that the high school football in our state has developed the way that it has.
And that's because of the growth of the population.
Right.
It's the population-based growth. So now all of a sudden, yeah, you have some guys playing multiple sports, but you don't have the guy playing, baseball, going over and running in a track meet because coach needs some points, playing basketball, playing football. You got guys who are developing year-round as football players, and they're not having to play both ways on their high school team because the population base is there. And the competition has gotten better in the state of Tennessee.
That's Brent Hubbs. I'm Mike Keith. This is Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's. Your text questions at 865-657-1278.
Big Orange Rewind on the Ball Network.
Sponsored by Food City, the official supermarket and tailgating headquarters of the Vols. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee. Complete coverage for every phase of life. Alumni Hall, the ultimate volunteer shopping experience. By Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee, the official insurance of the Vols. Tennessee Insurance for Tennessee Life. Co-op, proudly supplying your rural lifestyle in Big Orange Country. And by UT Medical Center, the official healthcare provider of the Vols and all of Vol Nation.
Tennessee pride runs deep from Neyland Stadium to the family farm. At Farm Credit Mid-America, we stand behind the Tennessee farmers who feed and fuel our nation, just like we cheer for the Vols on game day. Because we understand that whether you farm every day, only on the weekends, or simply enjoy time on property outside of town, we have loans to fit your needs. Because farming matters, and so does every play, every harvest, every heartbeat of Tennessee. Learn how Farm Credit Mid-America serves the great state of Tennessee at FCMA.com. Loan subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Farm Credit Mid-America is an equal opportunity lender.
Hey, Vol fans, did you know anyone can shop Co-op? We're not exclusively for farmers. We're here to supply everyone with essential supplies for farm, home, and animal. With more than 80 years of being the go-to rural lifestyle source in Big Orange Country, our family of co-ops is driven to serve you and your chore list. Find a location near you by visiting ourcoop.com and go Co-op.
In this town, we don't just root for the team. We are the team. We rise before the sun, stay long after the lights go out. We are Big Orange Country. And with this team stands another, UT Medical Center. We heal the hurt, fuel the comeback, keep Vol Nation stronger, tougher, together, with care that never lets up. UT Medical Center, official healthcare provider of the Vols and all of Vol Nation.
Tennesseans are concerned about inflation, but did you know natural gas is still the most affordable way to heat your home, dry your clothes, and cook your food? There's something special about natural gas. Warmth, comfort, and economy. Plenty of hot water. Always reliable performance. That's why Tennessee is powered by natural gas. Yesterday, today, tomorrow. Natural gas.
Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's, continues.
Glad to have you with us. Text line question. And this is specifically addressed to Brent Hubbs. So it's going to Brent Hubbs. Should call the text line the Brent Hubbs line. You don't ever get any questions anywhere in your life, do you?
Never. Nobody.
865.
My wife asked me, what time's the game? Is there a game this weekend?
Is there a game this week? I was talking more about VolQuest. 86. Or on the Saturday show, Big Orange Countdown. That was really good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. And
Ramon Foster and you and Jason Swain throwing it around.
Just get out of the way. Let those two guys.
That was big.
I mean, it's fun to hear those two guys talk because they have such different perspectives, but it's the same perspective at the same time because they have the Tennessee perspective. But then you got a guard, then you got a receiver, and they're both really knowledgeable. And so you throw something and let them go. And those guys they had a blast. We had a blast on Saturday. If you didn't tune in, highly encourage you to tune in. Come see us outside Gate 21 this Saturday. We'll be out there doing the pregame show.
1 o'clock Eastern.
And,
is that right?
Yeah, we'll take you
for a 3:30 kick.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
You're the programming guy.
I'm not the programming guy.
And so we'll be out there. We'll take your questions on site. We'll take your text questions as well. And they're not questions for me. They're questions for those two guys, because those two guys know ball.
And here's a little hint. This is a little insider knowledge for all the Vol Network folks. It's the same number. 865-657-1278.
Yep.
So just go ahead and program that into your phone. And when you want to ask a question, it's actually the same number on Thursdays for the Mike Keith Show.
There you go.
Pro tip. You're welcome to send us questions. We love hearing from you. But this one, again, 865-657-1278. Brent, were there any upgrades to Neyland Stadium sound system this offseason? From Jeremiah.
Yes, there has been work there and completion of some things that have been done there. So that was they brought in a sound engineer, an outside consulting firm to work on some stuff, and I think fans are going to really like what they see when they go into Neyland Stadium on Saturday for that game. If you're parking in G10, or you're coming from there, or even on the side of campus down towards, Fraternity Row and that way, man, this Gate 9 entrance is fantastic.
The Truly's tailgate entrance.
Yeah, it's going to absorb so many people coming in there. Used to, everybody would walk around to Gate 21 and line up down the road everywhere. That's going to take so much relief of the crowd going in. It can disperse and make it, you don't have to stand in line as long. It's going to be really cool.
Well, I actually told my wife today that even if you have to walk a little further, going in Gate 9 may be more smooth than going in the other end.
Yeah, and they're going to move.
That's another pro tip. See, this is what you get for listening to Big Orange Rewind.
It is a pro tip on that one.
I'm telling you, even if it's a little further, even if it's a few more steps, it may be easier because the width of that area has been extended to the point that it's going to be just a better experience getting in.
It's going to be fantastic on that end of the stadium. It should take such the strain off of help and take off of 21. They're also going to move the metal detectors out, so that will help you get through things quicker as well, as Philip Fulmer Way is closed. So pro tip here, don't try to drive down there. Don't try to drive down. Don't try to drive down Peyton Manning Pass. It's not going to be open. They're closing them at 5 a.m. And so that's going to be a better fan experience, because instead of being cramped on the sidewalk and they're going to have it's going to be opened up and give you a little bit more room to walk around. And then when you get to the stadium, the South Concourse is fantastic. It is.
Is that where Texas Roadhouse is?
Yeah, Texas Roadhouse is going to be in it. It is. The width of that in the area for fans is just, it is so cool. And what they've done at Gate 9 is exactly what needed to happen there a long time ago. That south end can now absorb so many fans coming in and coming out. It's going to be really good.
Well, it took so much commitment to finally do the south end zone because it was, quote unquote, so much for so long.
Well, you had to get
it was ancient.
And you had to get everybody out of the building, first of all.
Right.
South end of the stadium still had offices in there for forever.
Well, so people lived that way till 85. People had been out of the dorms for 40 years, but there were still classes there until when?
There was offices there 20 years ago, 15 years ago. You had to get that project really going, and there's been multiple renderings of it, but to get that project going, they had to redo the footprint of campus and get people moved and open that up. And then when they did, it was a mammoth project to do in terms of how much it cost to get the elevation the right way, everything you needed in there. It is wider than I ever imagined they would be able to make it. When you started talking about it, I'm like, okay, they're going to widen it out some. They've knocked down some of the restroom stuff in there and opened it up even more. They put in restrooms in different areas. They've moved the concession stands on the outside. They're not up against the portals where you go into the actual bowl of the stadium. That's going to alleviate everything. One other pro tip for you, don't bring any cash. They're not going to take cash at the concession stands. Cashless.
Well, I mean, you could bring cash.
Well, you can bring cash.
You can't use it.
You can't buy a dog with cash.
If you bring cash, Hubs will hold it for you.
Bring it to me. I'll stick it in an envelope.
He's on the sidelines. He'll be the guy in the Vol Network poncho. Just bring it right over.
Can I get a Gus Manning briefcase at that one time?
I've seen the Gus Manning briefcase. The famous Gus Manning briefcase that he used to hold the money. So the picture, if you're of age, if you're of a certain age, Larry Severs catches the 2-point conversion to beat Clemson in 1974. I was at that game. And there's the famous picture of Larry Severs after the catch, and there's Gus Manning holding the briefcase up behind him.
With a cigar in his mouth.
Yes. Which, of course, you could smoke in the stadium. That's another, it's been over 50 years. But the briefcase is all the money from the gate.
So if you want to bring me some cash on Saturday,
bring him a briefcase.
In honor of Gus Manning, I will hold that for you.
Bless you, Brett. You're so helpful.
I'm so kind.
Yes. Big Orange Rewind presented by Calhoun's. 9 convenient locations in Knoxville and surrounding areas. Look for Calhoun's inside Neyland Stadium on Saturday. Get you a little Calhoun's when the Vols get ready to play the Bucks.
Yeah, some great concessions in there. And some really cool stuff that you don't even have to go see a concession stand. You can just walk through and get some stuff at some of those concession stands.
Well, I can't because I'll be busy.
Somebody will bring you something.
No,
you have your people bring you your meal, right?
Well, let me know when I get people. What I'd like is some more text questions. 865-657-1278 as you listen to the Big Orange Rewind.
At the University of Tennessee, the Vols are known for competing at the highest level on the field, the court, and the diamond. And just like the Vols, Food City excels at everything too. They've got in-store butchers carving up certified Angus beef, fresh local produce, a full-service bakery, Fuel Bucks rewards, and one of the best beer and wine selections in town. Food City, the official supermarket of the Vols, and your home for everything Tennessee.
UT fans know it takes teamwork to win. And when you choose Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, you get a team who served Tennesseans for 80 years. From babies to seniors, big needs to small, we offer health coverage that fits your life and your budget. All from a company right here in your community. Now that's what we call a big win. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee.
Hey fans, it's Coach Heupel. In football and in life, some folks just show up. That's Tennessee. They don't call us volunteers for nothing. We're about standing together and doing the right thing on and off the field. That's exactly how Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee shows up. They're not just from here, they're for here. Built for Tennessee life. Get a free quote at FBITN.com.
It's football time in Tennessee, and that means it's time for Calhoun's. Whether you're headed to the game or watching from home, make Calhoun's your pregame, postgame, and every game headquarters. From hickory smoked pulled pork to the legendary ribs, juicy burgers, and mouth-watering brisket, Calhoun's delivers the flavor that fuels Big Orange fans. With 9 convenient East Tennessee locations, there's a Calhoun's near you. So gather your friends, wear your orange, and experience why they're the taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's, proud to serve ball fans since 1983.
Presented by Calhoun's. This is Big Orange Rewind.
After Tennessee's win Saturday over Syracuse 45-26, the Vols are 4-0 all-time against Syracuse. At 4 different sites, they've beaten Syracuse in Jacksonville, Knoxville, Syracuse, and now Atlanta.
And Josh Heupel continues his streak of scoring on the opening possession of the season opener. He's now 8 for 8 in his head coaching career, 7 touchdowns and a field goal on the first offensive possession to open the season as head coach.
And he's 8-0 in openers.
Yes.
But I can take you a step further.
Of course you can.
Tennessee is 4-0 on August 30th. So they went on Saturday, 45-26 over Syracuse. 2003, 24-6 over Fresno State. 1997, 52-17 over Texas Tech. Do you remember what was weird about that one? So the start of Peyton Manning's senior year.
Yeah.
So we're leaving the stadium. It was a late. It ended late.
Right. It was a late. I think it was a late start.
It was a later start, night game, and we're driving back to the radio station at the time. Princess Diana had died that night.
Is that right?
She had.
Oh, I did not remember.
Because the radio took over from like the post-game coverage of all the stuff that was going on around college football. We were off the air, but it had gone to the ABC Network News about that. Odd memory.
Yeah.
1987 kickoff classic.
Darren Miller. Okay.
96 yards. So there was a fumble return for a touchdown on Saturday and a fumble return on the game 38 years ago. John Ward with a great call of that play.
Great play by Nathan Robinson this Saturday to force that turnover.
Okay, so do you remember who forced the turnover, who forced the errant pitch?
I do not remember that.
It was really forced by Charles McCray, who played defense at that time. He was a nose tackle.
Yes, I remember.
Before moving to offensive tackle and becoming a top 10 draft pick. And Keith DeLong.
Okay. I've heard the call. I've seen the replay, but I wouldn't remember the guys that were involved in leading that to happen.
The guy who kicked the field goal to win the game. This is another good one. Phil Rich. Not a well-known Tennessee kicker.
No. He kicks the game winner.
He had kicked the game winner at the end, 23
This is why I like coming hang out with you.
Is that right?
Yeah,
do you really?
We learn all kinds of new things.
Do you think anybody is interested in it?
Oh, absolutely they're interested in it.
Yeah.
Sure.
But 4-0 on August the 30th.
They played well. I mean, again, they weren't perfect, but I love the fact that some young players were put in adverse situations in this game, Mike. And I think because of that, they're going to be much better for it moving forward. I think being thrust into that and not being put in when the game's out of reach. I mean, put guys in critical situations, and that was the plan. That plan got accelerated a little bit with some of the injuries that were out there. I think it's good for this football team. I think if you're Josh Heupel and you come out of that, as long as you don't have any long-term injuries, I think you feel like you'd like a lot of things the way that game played out, because I think it was good for your football team.
Larry Stone looked at me with a very strange expression when he asked me on the postgame yesterday. He said, what was the most important thing that happened today? And I said, Tennessee won. And what I meant by that, as I got further into it, the first part, he's like, well, that's really good. You show up to win. You didn't let that get interesting. And the last thing you needed to do was to lose that opener with this new of a football team. You walked in there, you're more physical than they are, you're more athletic. You punched them right in the mouth from the start. You stayed with it. They showed good fight. It's a nice football team. Again, I think Syracuse will get better. I think they will be annoying this year to some teams because I'm a believer in their head coach and I believe in their staff, and I think their quarterback's a pretty good player. I think they've got some talent. But at this point, you're better. Mm-hmm. You went and showed you were better. You took care of your business. You never let it get too interesting. That's what a good program does in a game like that, even in a year of the transition that they're going to have. And I think you said it well. The excitement about what this team can be is one of the most fun things about where this is right now. If you lose that game, and you're sitting here like they are in other SEC cities, and you're having to ask a lot of questions, and we've seen it. You've seen it. We've all seen it. When it goes wrong at the start at a moment like this, it's a bad, bad thing because suddenly you're questioning everything. As we talk on the radio about this victory, we're saying this is what Josh Heupel's Tennessee looks like. Mm-hmm. Now, we're not sure where it's going to go from here, But this is what they do, and this is one of the best things he's done since getting here is they go take care of business in these kind of games.
Yep, and they do. And again, they're ready to play. You want your jumping off point of the season to be in a good place, and Tennessee got off to the jump off point to start the ride was in a good place.
You said it better than I did.
And not everybody gets that opportunity, but you want to be on the right side of it to get started, because what you are today, and it's the business I'm in. I get it. I'm not saying it's wrong, but there's so much talk going into the season for months upon months in talking season that everybody talks whoever into being this or this.
Right.
They're great or they're really bad or whatever. Nobody really knows. Okay. So now you know this is where we're starting at. Okay. How much better can we get here? Where do you have to get better there? And Tennessee's starting point is a good place. That's what you feel today, is that your starting point is in a pretty good place. Are you an elite team? Nobody's saying that, but your starting point's good.
I think that's dead on. And I mean, if you're Alabama, you're at a very different place than Texas is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama lost this weekend to a team that won 2 games last year. Now rebuilt, and they were undefeated the year before.
And Portal can help you flip it in a hurry.
No question, but it's a game. They were a double-digit favorite. Texas goes to the defending national champion and loses 14-7.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the season, that's just going to say L 7-14.
Right.
Nobody's going to go back and talk about Arch Manning or what happened in this. That's not the end of the world. That's not the end. But if you lose one, you're supposed to win by double digits. Everybody thinks it's the end of the world.
Well,
and every team in the SEC's been in that position before.
Yeah, I mean, I think Clemson losing at home is disappointing, but it's a blip.
Sure.
It's had Ohio State lost at home, it would have been okay. But to your point, when you're supposed to win and you've become listed as the favorite for this, that, and the other, and lose the way that you lose, it's a very different vibe for them right now.
Well, we didn't get to watch all of Florida State, Alabama, but what we saw, Florida State beat Alabama.
Yes. There was nothing fluky about it.
Nothing fluky about it.
Not at all.
And that's the part of it that gets your attention. But here's the point. If they come back from that and they turn that all around, it's their Northern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it was for Notre Dame a year ago. And that's the beauty of a postseason tournament now.
Oh, and that's why everybody's going to be on board for expanding it too, because it will allow you to keep playing these really good matchups, and it's not the end of the world if you lose one of them, because you can learn from it and grow from it and build off of it. So, yeah, that's the beauty of playing the postseason tournament, of playing a true playoff.
We talked on the show last week about the scheduling issue and who will get 5 conference home games next year and who will get 4 based on the fact that the league's going to 9. We mentioned that Alabama was in kind of a tough scenario because they were starting a series at West Virginia. They were to go to West Virginia in 26. West Virginia was to come to them in 27. That series has now been scrapped.
Interesting. So who is their Power 4 opponent?
I don't know. Have to look. Haven't studied all that.
Interesting, because you got to have a quality Power 4 opponent. Well, we don't know what quality means, but you got to have a quality Power 4 opponent. That's what the commissioner said.
That's what the commissioner said, and he was the commissioner was at the Tennessee game on Saturday.
Yeah, he was there, and then he went to Clemson and watched that game, and then I think he was back in Atlanta today.
It's an easy trip.
It is an easy trip. Made the rounds, and but that scheduling thing, I don't think it's going to drag on until December to know the answer to that in terms of who your opponents are. I think we're going to know something on that in the next few weeks. But who gets 5, who gets 4, and who the 3 are.
Well, and who the screaming is.
Oh, they're going to be screaming.
I mean, because here's the thing.
There's going to be a lot of screaming.
Because here's the thing. If you only get 4 in 26, you're going to get 5 in 27. And then guess what? You're going to get 4 in 28.
Doesn't matter.
But it's just going to be. I mean, it's going to be. Oh, they all hate us. This is
out to get
proof
us.
They're out to get us.
It's a conspiracy.
Even though 8 teams have to get 5 and the other 8 have to get 4. It's like,
I think there's going to be there'll be gnashing of the teeth about that, but I think who the 3 permanents are, which is
you think that will be bigger?
I think it will be bigger, which is kind of crazy because when you look at it, you're playing everybody, rotating through.
But who gets disappointed? That's the question: is who truly loses somebody and gets disappointed? I think what you're saying though is who do teams think? Who do schools think? Get easy three traditional votes.
That's what most of the fans are going to think. You'll have some fans who are really disheartened if a rivalry goes away, but most people are going to look at it and go, I mean, think about it. For years, Tennessee fans were like, maybe we ought to get out of this Alabama rivalry. And the old guard's like, no, we're playing Alabama on the 3rd Saturday of October. But is it fair that Tennessee's playing Alabama when they're playing the rest of the East? That's been a thing for a while for some fans. For the older fans, it's like Alabama. Now we're playing Alabama every year, but there'll be some exactly what you're saying. Oh, we got the shaft, man. We got the hardest road. They got the easiest road. The league's out to get us, and this, that, and the other.
You can see that coming from Arkansas and Missouri, because who they may end up with the natural old Southwest Conference rivals and, the Big 8 rivals. I mean, everything that could go there.
Well, I think Texas A&M fans could be upset too now.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That whole group over there, that group of 4, they could all be riding in the same golf cart and with disappointment.
Yes. They'll be demanding the conference office move to a different city.
Yeah,
we've heard that one for a while.
It's never happened.
Happened.
Where is the conference office, Brent? I have no idea.
It remains in Birmingham, despite some people's disagreements with that.
Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's. Your text questions at 865-657-1278.
Today's Big Orange Rewind, sponsored by
First Horizon Bank, Big Bank Solutions, Small Bank Spirit, the official bank of the Vols. Swaggerty's Farm Sausage, quite possibly the best tasting sausage in America. By the Tennessee Fund. Join the My All campaign today at IWillGiveMyAll.com. Rackley Roofing, the official roofer of the Vols. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Tennessee Volunteers.
A farm, a family, and a tradition of premium fresh sausage that's lasted almost a century. Using only the freshest ingredients and finest cuts of meat for flavor that is locked in instantly. Each bite of Swaggerty's Farm sausage transports you back to a warm, cozy southern kitchen, leaving you satisfied and ready to take on the day. Swaggerty's Farm. Quite possibly the best tasting sausage in America. Now available at your local retailers.
There are big banks with large capital resources, and there are small banks that go above and beyond. And there's a bank in Tennessee that offers both. You guessed it, First Horizon. They're big enough to offer tailored solutions to help retail and business customers, but small enough to maintain that personal touch. No opportunity too big. No detail too small. First Horizon, big bank muscle, small bank hustle, and the official bank of the Vols.
Tennessee fans, your game day isn't complete without Calhoun's. Whether you're inside Neyland Stadium for the game or tailgating on campus or at home, Calhoun's has you covered with shareable small bites, family feed packs, and party platters. Imagine your tailgate piled high with hickory smoked ribs, tender pulled pork, and that famous barbecue chicken. The best of Tennessee on one plate. Call ahead or order online and make your game day legendary. Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee.
It's football time in Tennessee, and the Vol Shop on campus has everything you need to support the Big Orange. With a 15,000 square foot store in the Student Union, the Vol Shop is stocked full of official sideline gear from Nike, along with great apparel from brands like Champion, Volunteer Traditions, New Era, and Lululemon. And don't forget to check out the Vol Shop's large variety of NIL merchandise. If you can't make it to campus, shop online at utvolshop.com. And be sure to follow them on social media. That's the Vol Shop, the official campus store of the University of Tennessee.
look back, and what's next. Big Orange Rewind, presented by Calhoun's.
Next for Tennessee, East Tennessee State at Neyland Stadium, 3:30 Eastern Time kickoff. Vol Radio Network stations on the air with Big Orange Countdown. Brent Hubbs, Ramon Foster, Jason Swain, Larry Stone. 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central for Big Orange Countdown on Saturday. Rest of the conference kind of interesting. San Jose State on their way to Texas. Yeah, San Jose State lost to Central Michigan.
Yeah, I'm not sure you want that one, but there we go.
Utah State headed to Texas A&M. A&M had a challenge with University of Texas San Antonio.
It's a good little program at UTSA. I shouldn't call it little. That's a good program at UTSA.
Yeah,
They've done a good job
42-24 was the score there. First conference game, 3:30, Ole Miss at Kentucky.
Yeah, Ole Miss handled themselves pretty well. I like this old
to beat Georgia State 63-7.
I think that Ole Miss team's going to be pretty good, and I think Kentucky got in the fight that we thought Kentucky was going to be in,
with Toledo.
Showed. Yeah,
but they won.
They did. I think that's a good win for Kentucky because that's a good Toledo team. Most people won't recognize that probably. But I think if you're Stoops, that you feel good about what your team got done in that game.
Kansas at Missouri as they have resumed that old Big 8 rivalry.
Fun to have that one back.
They hate each other.
Oh, yeah, but they despise each other.
I had no idea.
In all sports.
Well, people in Missouri hate the state of Kansas, period. And vice versa.
They got no use.
It's tremendous.
It is.
I mean, it's like SEC hate for a whole state.
I mean, Kansas.
They make fun of each other.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's wow.
I mean, Kansas hates Missouri more than anybody in the league hates Missouri.
But Missouri hates Kansas more than anybody in their
league hates.
Maybe they'll get Kansas as one of their three rotational, their regular opponents.
That would be their biggest rival.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. Playing in Como this weekend. Austin Peay at Georgia. That's Georgia's next game, warm-up game before Tennessee. Austin Peay beat MTSU, which a really nice win for the Governors.
Really nice win for the Governors, for sure.
South Florida at Florida.
I think that one's interesting. Florida wins that game, I believe, but South Florida will show there for a while. So remember, South Florida's played Alabama close twice.
Oh, yeah.
They will not be intimidated in that game in any way, shape, or form.
This is interesting. Arkansas against Arkansas State in Little Rock. What a chance for Butch Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, with Arkansas, kind of, you don't know where everything is. I mean, Arkansas should win the game, right?
House money for Butch. I mean, you're cutting it loose if you're Butch Jones.
But I mean, if you win this game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be an upset to do it, but I mean, you're playing there, you got nothing to lose. That's one of those that Arkansas, Sam Pittman's like, why did we schedule this?
Who did this? Did the legislature make us do this?
What's the point of this one?
Yeah. South Carolina State at 1-0 South Carolina. Michigan at Oklahoma.
That one will be interesting to see because I'm still trying to figure out what Oklahoma, kind of where they are and what they're going to be. And then sort of we don't know yet about Michigan. That's a great matchup. I like
the
those
young
games.
Quarterback in Norman, Oklahoma. Interesting.
Yeah. Got his guy with him, as an OC. Yeah. So
Vanderbilt at Virginia Tech, 0-1 Virginia Tech.
Yeah, losers today 24-11 to South Carolina.
Arizona State at 1-0 at Mississippi State. And Mississippi State 1-0 after a very impressive win over Southern Miss, 34-17.
In Hattiesburg.
In Hattiesburg.
That's a big opportunity game for Jeff Lebby. It's a big game in Starkville for them. Ball
State at Auburn. Auburn with a nice win in Waco, so they have a good chance to go to 2-0. Louisiana Tech at LSU. And Louisiana Monroe at Alabama. The Warhawks headed into Tuscaloosa.
And Alabama's got obviously a lot of things they've got to work on. We'll see where they get in the line of scrimmage and kind of where they go from there against Monroe. I mean, they're the better team. They should win, but it's a little soul searching out of the gates for Alabama.
And what do you do at the quarterback position, too?
He's got to have some help. I mean, he didn't play well, but, I mean, he was running. I didn't watch the whole game, but what I saw, a lot of running for his life out there,
Yeah, too. I didn't think – I mean, I'm not saying Ty Simpson was the reason.
Sure.
What I'm saying, though, is at a certain point, if you just don't think it's going to go the right way, is this the game you make the change?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for Kalen DeBoer and for Coach Grubb, the OC, interesting how you play that, because if you bring somebody in, does that change the whole dynamic of all that? That'll be interesting to see how they play that out.
The general manager of the Ball Radio Network is Brandon Parks, executive director Glenn Thaxton, director of business development Josh Payrow, account executives Chuck Arnold, Kevin Ashmos, Ben Bates, Nick Bell, Savannah Chalfant, Brandon Lane, Jessica Leifheit, Spencer Rudder, Chris Wagner. Technical Director, Tim Barry. Network Engineer, Jay Leifert. Network Producer, Eli Davis. Associate Director of VFL Films, Ashley Farrell and Travis Dean. And our Director of Radio Projects is Larry Stone. For Brent Hubbs, I'm Mike Keith, reminding you, Tennessee football this Saturday is on the air at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, with Big Orange Countdown as the Volunteers get ready to take on the Bucks from ETSU.
Big Orange Rewind.
Presented by Calhoun's, a taste of Tennessee. Calhoun's is the perfect place to rewind after every Tennessee game.
Rewind. 1